Hi guys, it's Sam Day here and welcome to another Day Tips live. In this live, I'm speaking about search engine optimization. I've been speaking about doing a live on search engine optimization for a little while now. And I want to kind of get into the more advanced search engine optimization topics. But in this one, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to keep it basic. This is for some of you guys who you have your website, but you just don't really have a clue about search engine optimization, or your website's not ranking in search engines for the keywords that you want it to be ranking for. Your website's not ranking in the position that you want it to be ranking for. Maybe you're on the bottom of the page, or you're on page 2 or 3 or 4, and you want to be ranking in the search engines higher for keywords that will help to drive new traffic, new visitors, and hopefully new sales to your business. Ollie's just come into the chat. Keep smashing it with your lives. Thank you, Ollie. That just reminds me, if you have any SEO specific questions, then do leave them for me in the chat section, because I'm going to try my best to answer them live. So yeah, leave them for me in the chat. So firstly, I'm going to speak about what SEO is. Now, I know this is fundamental, but I don't want to assume that everybody watching this video knows what SEO is. So SEO stands for search engine optimization. And my definition of it is that it's the ability to manipulate your website in such a way that appeases the major search engines such as Google, Yahoo, and Bing. So obviously we all use these search engines, and most of us are using Google. So if we want a new pair of trainers, most of the time we'll go to Google and we'll type in new pair of trainers, or we'll type in a search term, and depending on what the search engines show us, that will kind of help to dictate what trainers we actually buy. We might not buy the trainers immediately from the search engines, but that might influence what trainers we go then and purchase. So being able to have your website show up in the major search engines for keywords that are related to your business is really key and can be really profitable. So let's say, for example, you have a fitness business and someone is looking for a new fitness instructor. You want your website to be showing up. You want your business to be showing up when someone is typing in fitness instructor. So that's basically search engine optimization and how you do it. So first and foremost, I wanted to speak about keywords. Keywords are super important when it comes to search engine optimization. They are essentially what people will use to find your website. I've just seen Rennie in the chat. Thank you, Rennie, for being here. Do leave your questions in the chat if you have any SEO related questions as I'm going through. So first and foremost, you want to think about keywords when it comes to search engine optimization. So the keywords are the words or the phrases that people are going to be typing in potentially to find your product, your service, or the content on your website. So if you are a fitness instructor and you want to show up in Google when someone types in fitness instructor, then fitness instructor becomes your target keyword. Now, you want to optimize your website in certain ways, and you should think about your website as different individual web pages. You shouldn't think of it as an entire website, because Google doesn't rank entire web pages. Google actually ranks individual web pages. So sorry, Google doesn't rank entire websites. They rank individual web pages. So in turn, what this means is every single page on your website is a new opportunity for you to rank in search engines for a different keyword. So if you wanted to rank in search engines for fitness instructor, you might create a page that is optimized for the keyword fitness instructor. But then you can create another page on your website, and maybe you optimize that specific page, maybe fitness tips, for example. And you can be ranking in Google for both fitness instructor and fitness tips, but different pages will show up in Google when someone performs those search engines. So that's key to remember, is that you want to make sure you're building pages that rank in Google and not necessarily your whole site, because that's not how Google works. Google will actually rank your web pages individually. So that's really important. And going back to a point that I just kind of touched on, which is that Google will kind of utilize the keywords that we were speaking about. So whatever keywords you want to rank for, you need to make sure that those keywords are on your web pages. So if you're creating a web page and you want that web page to rank in Google for fitness instructor, then you want to make sure that you utilize that keyword fitness instructor in relevant places on your website. And I'm going to be speaking about where to put those keywords and what to do with those keywords on your pages as well. I hope this is making sense to those of you who are here live. If it is, please do let me know in the chat. If it's not, then let me know and I'll go over some of the things that you might not be understanding. So going back to keywords, there are two main types of keywords that you guys really want to understand and know with regards to building your SEO for your website. So the main type of keyword will be your long tail keyword. Now, if you've watched any of my SEO videos, you should hopefully start be getting familiar with these terms because they're really important and they can really help you to push your SEO and your overall website traffic and sales forward. So your long tail keywords are usually keywords that are, say, about 3 or 4 words long or more. So for example, fitness instructor in London is 4 keywords. So basically, the longer the keyword, if it's longer than 3 or 4 words, then generally it's normally considered a long tail keyword. Now, if a keyword is just 1 word, or if it's just 2 words, or sometimes even 3 words, and it's quite vague, then that's known as a short tail keyword. So for example, a short tail keyword would be something like fitness or fitness instructor. It's very short tail. It's only 2 words, maybe 3. But the main way to identify a short tail keyword from a long tail keyword is that a short tail keyword tends to be very vague. It doesn't give you any specifics. So if someone is searching for fitness instructor, they could be searching for anything. There's so many fitness instructors all over the country, all over the world. You don't know where they're looking for. You don't know what they're looking for. But the more specific, the more in-depth that keyword gets, the more, of a long tail keyword that is. So for example, something like fitness instructor in London or fitness instructor in London for men. So that's even longer tail and it's even more specific because I'm male, because they're looking for a fitness instructor for men, and they are based in London because they've used that in their keyword as well. So I know more about that person, and that's a more specific long tail keyword. Now, when it comes to search engine optimization, if you've got a new website or a website that's not ranking well at the moment for keywords that you desire to rank for, normally the first issue I see is that website owners and entrepreneurs are trying to rank their websites for keywords that are short tail. Now, short tail keywords, because they're so vague, they tend to be very competitive because, for example, like fitness instructor, there are tons and tons and tons of websites on the internet that are optimized for the keyword fitness instructor, but there are less websites optimized for longer tail keywords such as fitness instructor for men in London, simply because not every fitness instructor is targeting men and not every fitness instructor is going to be based in London. Or if you wanted to take it even further than that, based in a specific location in London if you're doing localized SEO. So that's one of the ways to kind of bump up your SEO automatically is by actually utilizing keywords that are a lot more realistic to rank for. Go for the longer tail keywords. And if you serve a particular area, then you can make sure that you use those keywords as well within your title. Now, the third type of keyword that I wanted to speak about is known as your LSI keyword. So LSI stands for latent semantic indexing. Now, one of Google's employees went onto Twitter not too long ago, and he basically said that LSI keywords, Google do not utilize them in order to rank your website. And for me, that kind of was a bad thing for him to tweet without any kind of context to it. But let me first go and explain what LSI keywords are and why I still believe that they are really relevant for your SEO. So LSI keywords are basically keywords that are related to your main keyword. So let's say you create a page on your website and you want this page to rank for fitness instructor for men in London. That's your main keyword. But you don't want to kind of become redundant using that keyword. There's only a certain amount of times you can use that keyword on a particular page before it becomes redundant. You want to use keywords that are related to that. So maybe, you know, just having fitness instructor for men in London, or you want to change that around a little bit, you know, maybe have London fitness instructor for men, you know, on your page. But you want your page to read naturally. You don't want to have the same words again and again and again. Although it's important to have your keywords on your page, you don't want to have the same keyword again and again and again on your page. So you want to use keywords that are related, jumble the words around a bit, but make sure that it's readable and it reads really well. It's the same as like writing an essay for school, for example. Your school want to see you using a range of different vocabulary. This keeps your reader interested, and this keeps things interesting when someone is reading the content on your website, and you want to utilize the same thing on your site as well. This helps you to kind of create in-depth articles and pages on your website, because Google are super focused on user experience. And I'm going to go into that in more depth. So before I go into user experience, I want to quickly explain, lastly, the last thing about keywords is where to put your keywords on your website. Now, I speak about this a lot on my YouTube channel, but when you've got your keyword and you've identified what you identified what page you want a specific, what page you want to optimize for a specific keyword, you want to make sure that you utilize that keyword in your URL. So your URL is going to be www.fitness.com, for example. So it's going to be, it will be www.fitness.com/ your keyword. So you can change the URL for your specific pages. So if you're using Wix, if you're using Squarespace, if you're using WordPress, you'll have your normal domain. So for example, mine is daytips.com. And then after the / you can choose whatever you want it to be, and that will lead to your page. So you want to make sure that that URL contains your keyword, and you can use hyphens to kind of separate all of the different words. So it will be daytips.com. If I wanted to rank for fitness instructor, it would be daytips.com/fitness-instructor. Hope that makes sense to you guys. You also want to make use of your keywords in your header. So a lot of people just think that the header is just there for no reason. But when Google basically send bots to your website to read the content on your site and to identify what your web pages is all about, what your web page is about. So you want to make it as easy as possible for those Google bots, when they visit your website, to quickly understand what your page is about and to know what the keywords are, to know what the main concepts are, so they know how to rank your website in their index. So one of the ways you want to do this is by making sure you're using a header on your web page that contains your keyword or a variation at least of your keyword. So again, if you wanted to rank for fitness instructor for men in London, then you want to make sure that that is in the header of your website. So if you're using Squarespace, Wix, Weebly, Shopify, whatever platform you're using, they normally have a H1 symbol. So when you go into the text editor, you might see a H1 symbol where you can actually add a header to your site. And that H1 symbol is basically denotes a heading 1 tag, which will notify Google, the Google bot, when it comes that, okay, whatever is in that H1 tag, that heading tag, that is the main keyword. So you want to make sure you identify that. Also, make use of subheadings as well. So subheadings are really important. Obviously, a subheading will go just underneath your main heading. So you want to make sure that your subheading contains either your keyword or a variation of your keyword, an LSI keyword. That's super important as well. And lastly, you want to make sure that you utilize your keyword and variations of your keyword within the body of your text as well. Now, moving on slightly to user experience. Now, why is user experience so important? How can it help your search engine optimization? Well, when you get onto writing the content of your website, whatever your web page is going to be about, you want to make sure that the content is super is super valuable to your website visitor. Either it gives them the information they need so that they can make a purchase of the product or the service that you are promoting, or if it's an article, you want to make sure that it's an in-depth article, and that it provides really great resources for your visitor. So, and it needs to read well as well. Like I see a lot of people using different kind of funky fonts on their website. That doesn't work. Leave those funky fonts alone. If it's not easy for your website visitors to access the content and to read the content on your website, not only is that going to put visitors off, but that's also going to indicate to Google that the content on your website is difficult to read. And as a result, your website might not rank as well as it should rank in the major search engines. So you want to make sure that you're using fonts that are first and foremost easy to read, and that you're writing content that is actually useful and is valuable, and that your website visitors are going to gain a lot of value from. So again, I'm hoping that this is making sense to you guys. If it's not, then do leave me your questions, your SEO specific questions in the chat. If you're having any problems or if you're not understanding anything, and I'll make sure I'll answer them in this live. If you're watching this after the live, then leave your SEO comments in the comments section, and I'll do my best to answer it in the comments and maybe even make a future video about it as well. So this is the major mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs make with their website. You know, as entrepreneurs, sometimes we want to chase Google. We want to know, how can we rank in Google? How can we rank in Google? Whereas Google want to know, how can we provide the best experience for searchers on Google? So that's Google's main aim, is how can they provide quality information as quickly as possible and as effectively as possible to searchers who search Google. Now, it's important for you to keep that in mind, because if you're chasing the user, if you're chasing Google, then you're always going to be one step behind. But if you're just super focused on creating high value websites and high value web pages for your website visitors, then it is a lot more likely that you're going to actually achieve better SEO, because you're actually helping Google to meet their needs. So here are some throwaway tips. If you're noticing that your website is not ranking well, here are some throwaway tips. If you've got a pen, a pad, or you're using your phone, whatever you're using, you want to make sure that you make a note of these things to help you to kind of improve your SEO. So first things first is your website speed. How quickly does your website load? If you go to Google and you type in Google speed test, then you can actually, Google provide you with a free tool. All you have to do is type your website in and click search, and it will show you how fast your website is currently loading. And if it's not loading quick enough, it will give you kind of things that you can do to your website to help you improve. Now, if it gives you stuff and you don't know how to improve it, then either contact your content management system. So if you're using Squarespace, contact Squarespace, or read some Squarespace articles, read some WordPress articles, maybe hire someone off of freelancer.com to see if they can help you to fix the issue and speed up your site. Now, a word of caution, if you are using platforms such as Weebly, Wix, Squarespace, then these are going to be more difficult to speed up. But if you're using like a content management system such as WordPress or Joomla, then there often are plugins you can utilize, and there are often themes as well that you can make use of that normally load a lot quicker than other themes. So speed is one thing you want to make use of. One way to increase speed easily is to make sure that you don't use unnecessary images on your website, because images can slow down your website. And now it's good to use images on your site, but if you've got loads of images and and some of them don't really necessarily add any depth to your content, then you want to make sure that you remove those images. And the images that you do use on your website, so again, if you go to Google and type in reduce image file size, you will see a load of different results for basically websites that allow you to upload your image, and it will automatically reduce your image's file size. And you want to upload the reduced image file size to your website, so that will take up less basically HTML on your site. So when someone is accessing your site, it will take less time for your website to populate those images. And that is a really great SEO tip as well that you can utilize. And another SEO throwaway tip that kind of, will just help you with your ranking is to actually go to Google and type in Google Search Console. Now, Google Search Console is a free tool. If you don't have a Google Search Console account, then I highly recommend going and setting up a Google Search Console account as soon as possible, because it does a number of things. Obviously, it's operated by Google. So you're literally submitting your website directly to Google. Sometimes Google just haven't indexed your website yet. They haven't figured out that your website is live yet, that your website exists. So if you set up a Google Search Console account, it allows you to actually tell Google that your website exists. And you can also submit what is known as a sitemap directly to Google. So this is basically, I see it as a map of your entire site. Imagine sending that directly to Google and say, hey, Google, these are all of the pages on my site. These are all of the images. These are all of the product pages. These are all of the services I provide. These are all of the keywords. Uploading that directly to Google, and you can do that using the Google Search Console. Once you log in and you register your account, you will actually see that there is a section for sitemaps, and you upload your sitemap. So if you're using, again, a website such as Shopify, Weebly, Wix, Squarespace, then these platforms automatically populate a sitemap for you. I believe all you have to do is go to yourwebsite.com/robots.txt, and that will show you your sitemap. And a lot of people don't realize this, but that will show you your sitemap, and that's your sitemap link, your sitemap URL, and you can paste that into your Google Webmaster Tools where it says sitemap. So make sure you check whatever platform you're using. Go to Google and check if they automatically populate a sitemap for you. Most of them do. If you are using Joomla or WordPress, for example, then there are simple sitemap plugins that you can utilize and install them on your website, and it will store an XML sitemap for you. So make sure you're installing an XML sitemap, because an XML sitemap is one that the Google bots will read, and not normal humans. So make sure you go and you search for the XML sitemap. I'm seeing some questions in the chat, and I'm gonna make sure I get to them. So the first question is, I think the URL includes the header and it happens automatically. It depends on what software you're using. So Rennie there is talking about what will your URL look like if you don't change your URL. So there are some platforms, the really good platforms, that will kind of try to make your URL somewhat similar to the content on your website. But there are some platforms that will just have numbers and random letters. And this is really confusing to search engines because they can't really identify anything from that URL. So making sure that you manually enter your URL and make it something that is related to your keyword can be really useful. Rennie is saying, eliminate render blocking resources. What is this? Okay, so what Rennie is speaking about there, she's probably for the Google speed test, and it will tell you issues with your website. Now, what you want to do is copy it and paste it into Google and see if you can find a solution specific to your platform. So if it was me, I'd be typing in eliminate render blocking issues, Squarespace, for example, and there should be forums and articles that will help you with that. And if you can't find that, then I would actually try to contact Squarespace themselves, or like I mentioned, get a developer to try and help you with that. And then you've got lashes furthermore, I think. As far as SEO, is GoDaddy better or Wix for SEO? Okay, so GoDaddy or Wix, if you are, it depends on what you're trying to achieve with your website. So for SEO, I think my gut instinct would say Wix, but that doesn't necessarily mean that GoDaddy is bad. I think it more depends on what you do with your website. So someone can have a GoDaddy website and someone can have a Wix website. It doesn't necessarily automatically mean they're going to perform better in search because they have a Wix website. I'm still going to outperform someone with a GoDaddy website if I'm doing the right kinds of things in terms of SEO and search engine optimization. So yeah, that's one thing to remember. A bad workman will always blame their tools. So when it comes to platforms and which platforms to use, there is kind of a rule of thumb in terms of WordPress tends to be really, really good with search engine optimization, but at the same time, it's not there's a bit of a barrier to entry with using WordPress, because obviously you need a hosting account, and then you need to kind of understand how WordPress works. So as a result, a lot of people go for an easier kind of web building platforms like Wix, Squarespace, GoDaddy, and these are not bad platforms. They're not necessarily the best, but they're not bad. You can still do a really good job in search engines if you're doing the right things, if that makes sense. So I would recommend just go with a platform that you can maintain. There's no point going for even though WordPress is arguably the best platform, if you don't know how to utilize it well, then it's probably best for you to just go with GoDaddy. If you can use GoDaddy better than you can use Wix, then just go with GoDaddy if you know that that's a platform that you can be consistent on and implement some of the strategies that I'm speaking about. So yeah, keep your questions coming in if you do have questions. And yeah, Sereni is saying that the results were terrible. I'm assuming that the speed test results were terrible. So hopefully you can rectify at least some of those results. Now, one thing I will clarify is if you do go to Google and type in the Google speed test, and you do type in your website and you notice that your speed is really, really bad, do what you can to improve them, but don't over obsess with them. Just get them as don't make it be something that stresses you out, because it's very difficult to get like 100% with the Google speed test. Your website is going to be lacking somewhere. But it's just it's just knowledge to know, okay, cool, these are some things I can do to help improve my my speed of my website, but please don't obsess with it. This is something you can improve over time as well. It doesn't have to be all done in one night. Like sometimes it takes months to actually implement strategies that will help you to improve your speed of your website. So keep that in mind. So another thing I wanted to speak about before I ended this live and kind of take any questions if there were any questions was structure. Now, this is super key, how you structure your website. Now, kind of going to the question that I had before on GoDaddy or Wix. This is what these platforms do really well. So platforms such as Shopify, Wix, Weebly, Squarespace. Squarespace, in my opinion, does it the best. But this is what these platforms do the best. And this is helping you to organize the content on your website. But it's not going to help you if you don't utilize the platform properly. So how do you organize the content on your website? Well, you want to make sure you're utilizing menus. So when you go to websites, you see, like, for example, home, about, blog, products, all of these different menus at the top. So you want to make sure that you're utilizing menus and sub menus. If you want to, if it makes it easy for you, get a piece of paper down and write down all of the different menus you're going to put at the top. But you also want to make sure that you're utilizing sub menus as well. So you don't want to have too many sub menus underneath one menu, but you want to make sure that you're organizing your content. So it's kind of like the drawers, for example, in your house. You have a drawer and you pull out one drawer and it's your underwear. You pull out another drawer and it might be your ties. You pull out another drawer, it's your trousers. You pull out another drawer, it's your tops. And you want to make sure that your website is similar to that as well. Make sure your content is organized in a systematic way. Don't just publish a page and put it out there and don't add it to any kind of menu. Make sure you're adding it to some sort of menu or sub menu, or if you don't want it to be indexed, if you don't want a page to be indexed, then make sure you're telling the search engines that you don't want this page to be indexed. Again, if you're using a platform like Shopify, Weebly, Wix, Squarespace, then there's normally a setting whereby you can eliminate that particular page from the search engines. But every other page that you do want to be indexed, it should be a part of some sort of menu or sub menu or some sort of category, and it should be organized really well. Your content should be organized well. And when you create a new blog article on your website, then put that blog article as part of a different category. So for example, I'm an entrepreneur, and my blog is mainly helping entrepreneurs. So I speak about things on my website like SEO, email marketing, and Facebook marketing, for example. So if I'm writing a blog article and that blog article is about SEO, then I want to make sure I put that blog article in the SEO category, underneath the SEO category. So this is super important. It's basic things to keep your website organized, because when the Google bot comes to your site, it's going to follow the natural path that you give it. It's going to follow the menus. It's going to go down the sub menus. It's going to see all of the pages in the sub menus. And if one of your pages links to another page, it's going to follow that link. And if your pages are not linked together in menus and sub menus in this way, then there could be web pages that just don't get indexed because Google can't find them, because there's no kind of, natural link that links back to them. So you want to ensure that you're using menus and sub menus on your website. So I'm hoping that that makes sense. And this goes as well for your store. If you have an online store, then you want to ensure that every time you publish a new product on your website, that you're adding product to a category, a specific category. So again, you might be selling hats and scarves and gloves on your website. If you put out a new glove, a different type of glove, then put that to your gloves category in terms of your products. So make sure your products have different categories as well, and you're categorizing them and you're tagging them so that it's easy for search engines to identify and find all of the different pages, blog articles, and products on your web pages. So again, I hope that this is all making sense to you guys. Some throwaway basic tips for your website. Make sure all of your content is organized and has some sort of home to live under. Now, the last couple of things I wanted to speak about is includes duplicate content. So you want to make sure that you're creating content on your website. So like I mentioned, if you have a blog, you want to, have blog articles underneath that. But a blog is a great way for you to actually produce content consistently. So like I said at the beginning of this live, the more pages you have on your website, the more opportunities you have to be found in search engines for a different keyword. So like I said, every page on your website is a new opportunity for you to be found and discovered for a different keyword. But obviously, you probably only have a limited number of products. So if you're an e-commerce website and you're selling a product, you might only offer a certain amount of products. So there's only a certain amount of pages you can actually put on your website, and that limits how many keywords you can rank for. That being said, a blog is basically a section of your website where you can just keep on creating new content. And content can be, if you're selling, for example, like I said, hats, scarves, and gloves on your website, then you can be blogging about that industry. Blog about, what the weather's going to be like. Blog about, the best hats to wear during winter. Blog about, stylish gloves to wear, and link your products in those blog articles. So that's something that you can consistently do to kind of consistently pump out new pieces of content. You can utilize a tool called the Google Keywords tool. If you go to Google and type in the Google Keywords tool, then this will show you a tool that Google provide for free. And this tool, I've utilized it a lot on this channel, but that tool will actually show you what keywords are popular, what questions people have. And you can use those keywords and those questions to actually then go and, create blog articles specifically on keywords that, a lot of people are searching for. So if you want to go and use the Google Keywords tool, I recommend going and watching my video that I've done on how to use the Google Keywords tool for free, because a lot of you guys, were sending me messages and leaving me comments saying that you were having issues with accessing the Google Keywords tool. So if you go to YouTube, type in Sam Day and Google Keywords tool, then you'll see my tutorial on how to use it for free hopefully without any issues. So another thing that I want to speak about is duplicate content. So you want to make sure that the content on your website is original content. Don't go to another site and scrape too much of their content and put it on your site, because this can actually damage your website. You want to make sure you're creating compelling new content. And if you're referencing other content on your site then it should be a short reference. Make sure you're using quotations, and you can also use what's known as a canonical URL as well. So if you're using WordPress, there are plugins. Go and search for a canonical URL plugin, or search for any SEO plugin really on WordPress, and it will show you a canonical URL. I need to do my research and find out if Squarespace, Weebly, and Wix actually have this function as well. I'm sure they do. If they don't have it embedded in their website, then they will have it in some sort of app form as well. Someone would have created an app, and I'm going to do a video on that soon if I do find it. But basically what that does is it tells the search engines that this is not your content. So if you've scraped all of your content or most of your content from another website, it will tell the search engines that, look, this page is not mine, it's referenced from somebody else. So you want to make sure you do that. But as a rule of thumb, I would recommend just stay away from copying other people's content, because this can actually harm your site, because Google might see you as a spammy site. And this goes for product owners, especially if you're selling a particular product on your website that is also elsewhere on the internet. So you're selling it on your website, but you're also selling it on Amazon or on eBay, or maybe there are other sellers selling it. Don't just copy their entire description and put it on your website. Make sure you have your own description, describe it as best as you can in your own words, do it in your own way so that it doesn't come off as duplicate content. And, really lastly, the last thing you guys want to be thinking about in terms of just starting off with SEO is something known as backlinks. Now I've done a video on backlinks and how to generate backlinks using different kind of websites. And so, go to YouTube if you want after this, type in Sam Day backlinks, and I'm kind of show you how to do this effectively. But a backlink is basically when another website links to your website, and Google and other major search engines can see and identify these links, and they attribute authority to your website because of these links. Now, one of the easiest ways to get backlinks or another website linking to yours is to actually contact website owners who have websites that are similar or related to your website. So again, going back to my example, if you were selling hats, gloves, and scarves on your website, there might be a blog that maybe blogs about fashion. You might want to contact that blog and say, hey, look, I've got this website. I want to contribute an article. Can I write an article for your website? They say yes. You write an article for their website, and in the author bio section, you leave a link back to your site. Now, if you do that readily enough, then you're going to be building up your link authority. And this is a great way as well to kind of help your website to rank better in search. Now, I've done a ton of videos on SEO. I've got an entire SEO playlist on my YouTube channel as well. So if you want to know more about, improving your rankings, then make sure you go and check those videos out. If you do have any questions, I'm going to be jumping off of live soon. So make sure you rush in there and ask your questions, because I'm going to be jumping off of here soon. But I'm going to get to all of the questions before I go. But I really do hope that this video brought you value. I hope it was useful to you. And if you're watching this after the fact, after we've gone live, then do leave your comments and your questions in the comments section. So I know specifically what you guys want help with, so that I can create videos on those topics as well, and answer them in a live as well. So yeah, this has been my live on search engine optimization. It's the first live on SEO, but it won't be the last. I'm going to go even more in depth, hopefully eventually giving you like live tutorials as well, of me kind of performing SEO on different websites. In terms of when I go live, make sure you guys are following me at DayTips on Instagram. DayTips is spelled DEYTIPS.com on Instagram. So you can go follow me there, and I'm going to be, there updating my Instagram as much as possible to let you guys know when I'm going live and what the topic is going to be. Alternatively, obviously, you can subscribe to this channel, click the bell notification button as well. So if I'm going live on a topic that you want help with specifically, then, make sure you actually are following me there so that you don't miss the live sessions, especially if you have questions to ask as well, because obviously you can watch the lives after the fact. but it's always great when I can engage with you guys and see what specific questions you have on the topic and answer them live for you. I also, just quickly, I have the formula. If you guys haven't downloaded the formula yet, make sure you do. This is the formula to driving leads and sales online for your business. The formula is also traffic plus conversions equals sales. So I'm speaking about how you can drive traffic to your website, how you can convert that traffic into tangible leads and sales for your business. So like I said, really hope that you enjoyed this live. I hope that it brought you value. And yeah, until next time, guys, have a great evening, morning, or afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I hope that you're keeping well and safe during these times as well, these crazy times in terms of what's going on in the world. So my thoughts and my prayers are with all of you. And I'm going to do my best to just upload content and help you guys to stay productive, stay active, and working on your business whilst we're kind of still in this really difficult, times that we don't really know what's happening. So my thoughts and prayers and well wishes are with you and with your family. But until next time, guys, have a great day, and I will see you soon.